7.4, consideration of changes to the County of Lake hiring incentives policy, and B, discussion about the existing list of qualifying positions and using the hard-to-fill criteria to determine eligibility. And it looks like we have Pam Samick here to present this item.
I forgot to include the list of positions that we currently include, so I got copies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Pam Samick, HR Director. Today we're here to talk about providing some clarity around the definition of newly appointed employee. We are recommending that we change this definition to someone who has not been employed in a permanent capacity within the last 2 years. You want to discuss this one before the next item, or?
Continue.
In addition, we would like to discuss removing the list of qualifying positions hard to fill and just use the criteria to determine eligibility based on the incentive policy.
And anything else you want to look at within the policy.
And anything else to look at in the policy, is that what you said? All right. All right. Supervisor Pyska and then Supervisor Sabati after.
Yeah, I'm okay making this change, but if there's any hiring or negotiations or potential people that are kind of caught in the middle of this, how would that, how would we make sure that we don't disrupt what's already in motion?
So once I get direction, we'll update the policy, send it to the unions for a meet and confer, and anybody currently in a position that is open where we listed the incentive would still be eligible for the incentive as listed on the job opening.
Okay.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Appreciate that clarification. I'm very much in favor, not entirely, of clearing out the hard-to-fill eligible positions. It just feels like the majority of the classifications seem to find themselves on the list. I think that we do need to apply ourselves and at least prove that it's hard to fill through two, but there's some on there that I'm uncomfortable taking off, and that would be department head and safety.
Yes, that would not change. The positions listed as automatically eligible would stay eligible per the policy.
All right. Vice Chair?
Yeah, just for the record, I wanted to state that what Supervisor Pyska brought up was going to be my exact question. I didn't, if there's something going on, I didn't want to stop anything.
Right.
I didn't want that to get changed by any policy update. So I just wanted to make that clear for my thoughts.
No, in addition, they would still have to meet the hard-to-fill criteria, which has resulted in 2 failed recruitments in a 6-month period, recruitments that have resulted in 3 to 5, less than 3 to 5 qualified eligible candidates, and recruitments that resulted in a candidate declining an offer as listed in NeoGov. So they would still have to meet that criteria, which even the hard to fill on the list meet that criteria, minus the safety positions who are automatically eligible.
Right, but if someone is, say, in negotiations or something and they haven't, it's the 2-year, if they haven't, if that 2-year doesn't apply to them, but they're negotiating with somebody, I just don't want to disrupt what could be happening.
Yeah, right now, we define newly appointed as being never been employed by the county, is the way we've been applying the policy. So this actually opens it up and is beneficial, because now if you left and have come back in that 2-year period, you're now eligible, where previously you were not.
Stephen, did you have something before I?
Yeah, it's slightly different, so let's see what Supervisor Spatier has to say.
Yeah, I just want to clarify my statement. I'm okay with clearing the hard-to-fill eligible position, but also clearing the automatic hiring incentives to only be safety and department heads. Right now, there's welfare fraud, there's air quality engineers. I think that I would prefer seeing a process to say these are hard to fill. I just wanted to clarify that.
And the air quality engineers will expire per the resolution in June 30th. So that would change. And then deputy probation officer, those are considered part of safety. And as is the welfare fraud investigator, unless you're not considering them safety.
I see that as slightly different.
Yeah, I
They're
guess
not keeping our streets safe and our communities. Are they important? Yes. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's kind of a gray. Did you have?
Well, the only other point on that is certain situations, they get activated to that first responder. Like if we had an emergency or something, they could be, so I'm just throwing that out.
Oh, okay.
I know most of the time they're not the first responder, but they certainly could be
Could be.
at any time.
All staff.
All staff is actually a first responder
Yeah.
for a disaster.
I mean, even behavioral health.
Yeah, disaster worker, if that's the situation, but certainly they could be called out, though, on just any other major law enforcement situation that's not a disaster. So I just wanted to throw that out.
Thank you. Stephen, did you want to add to?
Well, my monkey wrench to throw into the ring here is nothing ever survives first contact with county council. So on the end of our first sentence, in the past 2 years of the proposed appointment, makes it a little more clear what the 2-year range is. So it's not 2 years from when you theoretically get hired, from the date of appointment.
Date of hire or date of date of appointment and date of hire, this one and the same.
Yes, they are.
So that's their first day on payroll.
Correct. Don't look at me.
So it's just to clarify, because as it's drafted right now, it says the newly appointed employee, so on and so forth, has not been employed by the County of Lake in a permanent capacity within the past 2 years. And the question for me is, of what? Past 2 years of what? What's the timeline we're talking about? Your past 2 years after the passage of this amendment? Or should we clarify that more to mean past 2 years of whether it's termed the date of hire or the proposed appointment of said employee?
Supervisor Sabatier.
My only problem that I can come up with that versus the application date submission is the reason for the hiring incentive is we need to hire you now. And if you're going to put an application and you need to now play games and wait for another 30 days so you can get to your 2 years, that doesn't fit. And then we're going to give you extra money as well. I would say it should be the application date that you submit that you need to be within 2 years. Just because, to me, it's to expedite the process, to attract attention.
Fine from this side.
All right. Cam, did you? Go ahead.
Yes, but you could apply and be on an eligibility list for 6 months. So date of hire may make more sense.
I just needed to make that statement.
Okay.
All right. Lloyd?
And really, for purposes of clarification, there just needs to be a marker. That would be my recommendation, whether it's date of hire, submission of application. There are practical considerations that your board should consider in setting that mark.
Agreed.
All right. Which is?
I'm okay with the hiring date.
Date of hiring.
Or whatever that date
I
was that
see
you first
two
said.
other heads shaking, and you say yes. We have a consensus, right? Or are we looking for direction or action on this?
That one's going to be an action.
that first one, so that's going to be action. And then the second one is weird, it's just discussion, right? Okay. About hard to fill so that we can make action on the first one. There we go. All right, I'm going to open it up to the public briefly, so. All right, I'll bring it back to the board. There is a hand in Zoom. Okay, hand in Zoom, please unmute and. All right, go ahead.
Hi, I have a question. Are you going to be discussing the Airbnb TOT tax today?
That is going to be next, so if you.
I'm sorry, I'll wait then.
We're almost there. All right. So the hand in Zoom was for the next item, and we'll go ahead and close public input, and we're ready for action.
Are we changing the hard-to-fill eligible position or keeping it as is?
I thought we were changing it.
But we were keeping the law enforcement.
They're
Yeah,
automatic.
safety, yeah, safety's automatic.
But could I get clarity on welfare fraud investigator, whether we consider that on the automatic list or not?
And you say no, you say yes?
I say no.
I'm okay either way.
Okay, you?
I don't think it's technically safety.
Okay, well, you have what you need.
2.5 versus 2.5?
Well, no, yeah, it's,
No, we had.
she said you said you don't think it's safety, right? So you have 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She said, I think it's
Yeah.
safety.
No,
My bad.
Either
I'm
that or I
okay
was
with
gonna come in, yeah. We're good. With that, right? You have that? Okay. And then, was there one more that you were thinking of, Lloyd?
Just for your board's consideration on the language of the motion, when your board is ready.
Well, you want to give the language and then someone can say,
Are we keeping that only these are eligible for getting the incentive, or you go through the incentive process, and if you meet the criteria, then you get the incentive?
I thought we,
I was just curious, because I didn't hear a final answer of we keep this list, because this list is different than the safety, because the safety is automatic.
yes,
Yes.
safety's,
We kept that.
You don't have to go through 2 hiring processes. Here, you can go through 2 hiring processes for people not on this list, and they'll never be on the incentive list. Here, you have to be listed in order to receive the incentive or be eligible to receive the incentive.
And that's what you were asking for, correct?
Yes.
How about we re-clarify what what I think
Please.
that you guys are
Please.
saying. We'll change the first sentence and include the higher
right.
language. And then in automatic qualifications, remove air quality engineers and welfare fraud investigators, but leave department heads, deputy sheriff, 1, 2, and corrections, dispatch, and deputy probation officers, and remove the list. Just go by the qualifications that are in this policy already.
I think that was, thank you for doing that.
I second that.
That's what I think.
So I move to approve as was just stated to update the policy. Change the top line for 2 years with a specific date. Change it so that air quality engineers comes off as of June 30th, 2025, and welfare fraud investigator is off. And then we only follow the criteria. This list no longer exists.
I second that.
And so. Yeah, so for further clarification, that would be the approval, your board's approval of the County of Lake hiring incentives policy would be approved as amended, as outlined by Supervisor Sabatier and Assistant CEO Carter, and direct the Human Resources Director to engage in any necessary meet and confer with the county bargaining units.
That is exactly what I wanted to say. Thank you.
All right, so that, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Uh-oh.
Motion carries. Were you coming in to help? We just passed it, but yeah, come on.
I just wanted to, sorry. Hi, Diana Rico, Deputy HR Director. I just wanted to clarify, because it was stated that we were removing the welfare fraud investigator, and that does require a basic post. So I just wanted to make.
Post-certification?
Correct. Yes.
So they are.
They are safety.
Yes.
Well,
Reconsider?
Reconsider.
You want a motion, we can motion to reconsider? Or rescind the motion, or which way do you recommend, Lloyd?
It could be, since
Substitute
we're,
motion?
if I may just have a minute.
Okay. All right.
Way to throw a wrench.
30 seconds sooner, Diana.
I know.
Maybe 10.
I ran in
actually.
here. I'm out of breath now.
They're messing up. So your board may move, since the item has, my understanding is the item hasn't been closed at this point, so your
No.
board may move to reconsider the previous motion that was just made on this item. And so that would be the first motion.
So moved.
Go through.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Diana.
I
Thank you.
move with the exact same motion as was stated by county council, minus the crossing out of the welfare fraud investigator. Does that work?
Prior to that motion, just on a procedural, as a procedural matter, your board may move pursuant to Rule 8 to move to rescind the previous motion that was just made on this same item.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
And just to complete just to cover all the procedural
Basis, yeah.
aspects of this, Mr. Chair, you may open it up at least just for anyone who may
Public.
need to public comment on those two previous motions.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to come up and talk about those previous motions or anything to add to this? And no hands in Zoom. I'll close public input and we'll go from there.
And then that would be.
So I move to approve the County of Lake hiring incentive with changes to the purpose line to define 2 years specifically at the hiring date. Remove air quality engineers once it expires on June 30th, 2025. And remove attachment A, hard to fill eligible positions, and direct our HR department to meet and confer if necessary based on these changes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Are we good, Diana?
Thank you, Diana.
Pam, are we good? All right.